Hi, I'm Ellis George, play Courtney Woods, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents and squeak continue all the way to episode 125 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like I do every week by going on the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Belleville. This is Holly from Wisconsin.
This is Mitch in Kitchener, Ontario.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're gonna try to keep things chipper over here, but I don't know how well it's gonna go.
No guarantees.
If you're listening and you're at home, you may want to pour yourself a stiff drink. If you're listening to this. Oh, yeah, it's been something, and the fact that we, as it happens a lot of the time, we don't get to record on Sunday. We end up having to push it back to Monday, and then news breaks. But most of the time, it's good news.
This time we've kind of got bad news.
It's like good and bad put together. So plus, the 10 o'clock bed anyway. So we've, scrambled to keep up with the news, and we had to change the show topic because of some of the anyway. So
yeah,
I guess we'll start with the other piece of 10 o'clock news. I don't even remember what day it was. What was it, like Wednesday, I think? Sometime last week.
Wednesday, Thursday,
something like that. TV icon, and no offense to, Florence Henderson, but Mary Tyler Moore was my TV mom. But Mary Tyler Moore passed away at the age of 80. She had been ill for quite a while. Apparently she'd suffered from diabetes most of her life, which I had no idea. But then she also had to have brain surgery several years ago because of a tumor on the lining tissue of her brain. So she's been out of the spotlight for quite a while. But obviously, playing the on-TV screen wife of Dick Van Dyke, on the Dick Van Dyke Show, and then having her own show, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, where she was, it was a groundbreaking TV show. She was a career woman. She was single. She didn't have kids. The series wasn't necessarily, there was, her dating off and on, but the whole series wasn't about, this single woman trying to find a man and do these stereotypical female things of, getting married. And she had friends, and she, she went out and, had all sorts of zany adventures.
With Mr. Grant, boss Ed Asner.
Yes.
And Betty White.
So
was one of her pals.
Yeah. So, both of those shows were iconic in their own right, but especially the Mary Tyler Moore Show for the subject matter. And it's the series ending is one of those iconic ones, not so necessarily for the entire episode, but just have the hug.
Yes.
And they need Kleenex, and they don't want to let each other go, so they shuffle in a group over to get the Kleenex. and the the episode of the death of Chuckles the Clown, where he got ran over by an elephant. And Mary everyone's laughing before the funeral, and then when they get to the funeral, everyone's crying except for Mary. Mary starts busting out.
Still, she's,
Oh, my. So, Yeah. No, she was my
Do
TV
yourself
mom.
a favor and try to track down some of those and watch them.
Oh,
You'll be
yes.
disappointed.
Yeah, it's a great TV show. A lot of great character actors, like I said, Ada Asner, Betty White, one of her many TV roles.
Yes.
So yeah, Mary Tyler Moore. Oh, everyone's my TV mom, at least from when I was a kid. So I remember watching reruns of both. Watching Nick at Night, so
Yep.
She will be missed. Oh, moving on to slightly. We're gonna alternate here. Bad, good, bad, good, bad, good.
Sounds good.
Let's move on to some good news. We got some more convention guest announcements still coming from FanX, Salt Lake FanX, because they still have like. If you look at the image on their Facebook page where they fill in the silhouettes, and there's still a lot of empty spots for silhouettes for guest announcements. So they've got a lot more to go. But they announced Jess Harnell, who you may not know by name, but you know him by voice if you watch the Animaniacs. He's the one that everybody thought was Ringo Starr.
Yes.
Like, is Ringo Starr doing this cartoon? No, it's this guy. I guess Ringo Starr's voice clone, I guess. Voice doppelganger. And then Sam Jones, or as he's better known, Flash Gordon. Gordon is alive! Yeah. Which now Chrissy is desperately wanting Brian Blessed. Now she's the guest. Which that would be awesome in itself.
Cool.
I had Sam Jones was at PopCon, not this past one, but the year before, and they ended up doing a screening of Flash Gordon the night before the convention started. That was part of the convention events. So unfortunately I didn't get to go. But apparently it was quite the hoot. It was quite entertaining. So Flash Gordon, break out your metallic undies for him to sign, I guess.
Or a metallic football.
Yeah. Break out your Flash Gordon soundtrack. All the Queen on it. I need to rewatch that. It's been a while. I have it. I just haven't got around to sitting down and queuing it up. So, anyway. Speaking of movies, the Oscar nominations. We're going to go back to bad here. The 2017 Academy Award nominations were announced. And just like we've said since award season has started, a lot of the mainstream categories, a whole bunch of stuff that we've never seen and probably never will. Meryl Streep getting her like bazillionth Best Actress nomination and all that fun stuff. Obviously, like the best like animated feature is the closest we get, I think, to a mainstream category. We're like, yes, I've seen some of those. We're all rooting for Lin-Manuel Miranda for Best Original Song from Moana.
Indeed.
Yeah, but no love for Deadpool. None. Not even in, like, sound editing where, like, the superhero movies tend to get nominated, or hair and makeup or anything like that. No, nothing for Deadpool, nothing for Ryan Reynolds. Yet Suicide Squad got a nomination for hair and makeup. Figure that out. I'm just looking at the nominations. I'm like, Why is so like I went and saw Suicide Squad. I liked it. It was decent. It was exactly how I expected it to be. I didn't expect it to be amazing. It wasn't. It was exactly what I expected from a DC movie. But for Deadpool to get the shaft after doing, so well, not necessarily winning stuff, but starting to break that glass ceiling for superhero movies and get cut short, I'm annoyed. So Ryan Reynolds is taking it as well as can be expected. He's taking it in stride. He's like, it's all good. Party at my house. I'll bring the chimichangas. But so yeah, we'll get that Oscar nod. Who knows? But yeah. But getting those other nominations for those other more mainstream awards certainly helps pave the way. So it's only a matter of time before a superhero movie gets a best motion picture Oscar nomination. So
quick tangent, as long as we're speaking news and fandoms, last night was the SAG Awards.
Yeah.
And Stranger Things won for Best Ensemble Cast.
Yeah. The SAG Awards are a little, because they're kind of like the Golden Globes, aren't they?
Actor's Choice.
Yeah, Actor's Choice. So they're mainstream, but not too mainstream. So it's not quite People's Choice, but it's not quite the Golden Globes or the Emmys. It's somewhere in the middle. So yeah. Academy Awards are coming up in a few weeks. I might watch them. We'll see. Not really. It's like, I like watching especially if it's been a good year for animated movies, because a lot of times a song will get picked from those for best original song, and those get performed live, and I like seeing those. I like seeing the live performances. So, as much as I'm rooting for Lin-Manuel Miranda to get complete the EGOT, I am kind of excited that Justin Timberlake got nominated for the song from Trolls, because I have that on my workout playlist. That song's so catchy.
Well, if it happened, that would be good too.
Yeah.
There have been ties.
Yeah, that is true. So, if Eminem can win an Academy Award, so can Justin Timberlake. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Anyway, okay. Speaking of superheroes, the Marvel made a big announcement that they are jumping both feet into the deep end with big video games. Obviously we've got Lego with some characters and Lego Dimensions and some other Marvel versus Capcom, fighting games, but this is Marvel video games. They are teaming up with the company that makes Tomb Raider and Final Fantasy, which, those are big franchises that's, especially Final Fantasy. I mean, what number are they on now? 112? But they are doing big ticket, big budget line of video games, and they're going to start with the Avengers project. And they released just a real short, special effects CG animated type teaser, and just from that, if the graphics in the game look anything like this little teaser, it's oh yeah, this is gonna look really good. Obviously, it has to play well as well. Good graphics don't mean diddly squat if the gameplay sucks. But considering the companies that are going to be behind these, I think the Marvel characters are in good hands as far as gameplay. So, and graphics as well. And me personally, I'm not a gamer, anything beyond Farmville on Facebook. Occasionally, I will play like Mario Kart, although I do have a soft spot in my heart for GoldenEye on the N64 because old school. But for the most part, I'm not really a gamer. But I'll have to see more as these get in development and get closer to release. But I'm kind of excited. Like the little tiny gamer part of me is like, ooh, like like a ostrich or a flamingo that sticks his head up real quick. Like what? Like, you've got my attention. Now keep it. And my wallet's crying. Oh. It's already crying anyway, no thanks to Funko, the London toy comic whatever thing that was happening in the last couple of weeks. Like, here's the 50 different franchises of Funkos that we're going to be releasing this quarter. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, okay, well, the Defenders, I need all of those. Parks and Recreation, oh, Funko Little Sebastian, yes, please. I need a Funko Ron Swanson and a Funko Little Sebastian right now.
And they're even doing a Dr. Seuss line of Funkos, too, so it's like...
Yeah. I was in the thinking store earlier today, so small, and I was looking at the wall of Funkos. Like, as much as every time I go in there, they slightly rearrange stuff, but not really. For the most part, the setup is the way that it is if you've seen my pictures in the video from the grand opening. But that one big wall of Funkos, they had them on sale, buy 3, get 1 free. The gal was all like, do you have any questions? I'm like, no, I'm just thinking about all the ones I know are still going to come out soon. She's like, well, we can pre-order them for you. I'm like, no, don't tell me that.
Don't tell me that.
Like, I don't need to know that. I was good and did not take her up on her offer. But like, I will wait. Like, I need all the Marvel and all the Parks and Recreation and all. It's like, oh, Funko, I hate you. I'm going to need a bigger shelf at work.
I hate you, but I love you at the same time.
Yep.
It's one of those good love-hate relationships to have.
Yeah. Alrighty. Okay, moving on to the piece of news that dropped today. Good news, this just in, Doctor Who's still not on, but good news, we do have a return date. We knew it was in April. We joke constantly, thanks to Sean, about Easter Saturday. Guess when Doctor Who comes back? Easter Saturday.
April 15th.
April 15th is the day before Easter.
Happy tax day, everybody.
Well, actually, tax day gets pushed, I think, to the following Monday, so, but still. It's Easter Saturday. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty
Sean, Keith, and Glenn's reaction to that one.
Sean go, I knew it!
I told you.
I just looked at the day, it was like, Radio Free Scar. I was like, April 15th? I'm like, wait, that's the same weekend as Indiana Comic Con. I think that's Easter weekend. Yep, Easter Saturday. Sean's just gonna be like, yep, for until April. He's like, Easter Saturday. So that's the good news.
Yeah.
The bad news is Series 10 is going to be Peter Capaldi's last. Which we kind of expected it, but at the same time, it's like we didn't actually want it to happen. So.
No.
I was kind of hoping he would stick on just to make the transition from Moffat to the new guy a little easier, because I know some people, I wasn't watching them, but I know some people complained about when, Russell T Davies left, that got a little wonky, making the transition in showrunner and keeping everything else the same would have made it easier, but it's not to be. So, yep, for Christmas this year, we're getting a new doctor. So, start your speculating now on who it might be, I guess. So, what time of year was it when they announced Capaldi? It was in the summer, wasn't it?
I think.
Yeah, I think it was. It was August.
It was August? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember my grandparents going on vacation, and I got to watch it at their house. It was August, yes.
Okay. Oh. It might be sooner, it might be later. Maybe they'll keep with the same, time of year. Who knows?
Matt Smith leaving in June. It was June that year, and then announced Capaldi in August. So maybe we don't have to wait that long.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe. I was gonna say maybe before San Diego Comic-Con, but maybe they'd wait till after. So yeah. I guess it depends on, if they've got an idea of who they want and how soon they can get them signed and have the ink dry. So that's the biggest thing. If they're just now starting the search, then obviously it's probably going to take a little longer. But if they've got an idea of who they want and can start actively pursuing them, then sure. Maybe it'll be
something. Begin. There's already a couple of.
Yeah.
I heard one speculation as to somebody who might be.
Yeah, I was like, there's only 12 actors in the UK, so I mean, you don't have to be to pick from.
Yeah. Well, somebody was speculating that Robert Carlyle might be in the running because he kind of hemmed and hawed about if he's going to come back after this next season, but hard to say.
Yeah.
Because his kids are still going to school where they tape, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. Well, and it also depends if they want to go younger again or if they want to stay a little older.
Or I want to try female.
I want to try female. You know what? I have no problems with going with a female doctor. And by the way, she is currently looking for work. Haley Atwell could use a job. There, I'm throwing that name in the ring right there. Let's go female Haley Atwell.
She's not a stranger to the Doctor Who universe.
No.
She has been in...
Well, she says she wants to do it. Somebody asked her if she would ever be on Doctor Who. She's like, I want to be the Doctor. I'm like, okay.
I'd buy it.
I'll take it. She's that show that she was on, it got canceled fairly quickly, so she's looking for work. If Agent Carter's not going to come back, I'll take it. But who knows? Who knows? Yep, let the betting tables go. So, which I think Capaldi was the front runner on a lot of the betting before he got announced. So they may have been on to something. So I guess the closer we get to the announcement, you can take that with a grain of salt, I guess. So, but
I wonder if they're gonna do what word am I thinking of? Like they showed it live here too.
Oh yeah, like a simulcast. So
simulcast.
Nobody gets spoiled on it. Yeah, maybe. So. I mean, how did they do it before? Because I wasn't watching when they changed doctors before.
They simulcast Capaldi's. Matt Smith, it was... there was some delay, I think, where BBC America didn't show anything, so we had to wait.
But it was like it was announced like on TV. It wasn't just like a picture press release like, hey, here's the new doctor.
I can't remember if Matt's was a picture a bit of an interview, but Capaldi's they did a live simulcast feed.
Well, for that, he did a special Doctor Who Confidential, going over the history of the series.
That's right, and they announced him at the end. That's right. Okay.
And I wasn't part of the fandom at that time.
Yeah, I wasn't either, so...
I kind of was, but they didn't. BBC America didn't do the simulcast, so a few of us were going to alternative means or visiting the message boards. Okay, what did they pick? What did they pick? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I hit the I'm going to have hit the trifecta anyway. Experience a doctor change, a companion change, a showrunner change, and now I'm going to experience a doctor change again.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Pearl. You wonder what it's like for the companion to come in, like, yeah, Doctor Who, I'm the new companion. You're like, yeah, meet Peter Capaldi and Stephen Moffat, and they're both like, yeah, by the way, it's like, welcome on board, welcome to Doctor Who. By the way, we're both leaving.
Yeah. You'll have to show the new guys the ropes.
Yeah. Like, learn everything, Pearl, because you're going to have to teach them everything. Yeah. Oh, my. Anyway. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that. No. It's just in Doctor Who's still not on. But it will be back Easter Saturday.
Sooner than we think.
Yep. Before you know it, it'll be here. So... In that same vein, though, we do have a little bit of feedback, because we did have someone, a follower, comment on one of our many posts about Capaldi leaving, because it was just like, you know, several different, we're all releasing slightly different things, and like Capaldi's leaving, and then like Radio Free Scar was like, Capaldi's leaving, by the way, Doctor Who comes back April 15th, just in case you missed that other hubbub of Capaldi leaving. But Joseph, I'll refrain from using his last name, but he commented on one of our posts about Capaldi leaving. He said, thanks, imagine this in the most sarcastic and passive-aggressive tone ever. Thanks to whoever decided to not do a series last year. Pardon for swearing, but I would have to call that idiot a J.A. for deciding only to do a Christmas special. What a waste of a doctor. Which I can kind of see his point. I mean, we're all fairly frustrated that all we got was a Christmas special for 2016, and you know the way they handled, you know, the spin-off Class, not airing it during a big chunk of the hiatus. Like, Class just finished airing here in the United States, and you know, we're so close to Doctor Who coming back. It's like, you could have done Class in the US last year to help fill in the gap, but we talked about that ad nauseum when we talked about Class. So yeah, I don't know what the logic is, if there was any logic, if it was just Moffat dragging his feet and deciding whether he wanted to stay, and that pushed... I mean, we did get new Sherlock, so that did take up some of Moffat's time. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not a series of Doctor Who as far as the amount of time. It's 3 episodes. Granted, they're super long episodes, but it's only 3 compared to a full series of Doctor Who. But they did have to find a new companion, too. So, you know, I think it was just a whole mess of just stuff that just made Doctor Who coming back just not happen last year. So, you know, it gave me time to watch other stuff. So, I will give it that. I wouldn't have been able to binge the Arrowverse like I had been doing if Doctor Who had been on, I don't think. Because I've been like, Oliver Queen, what? Doctor Who! So, priorities. Like, Oliver Queen, I'm tired of your whining. I'm going to go watch Doctor Who now. So, can't do that now. No, Doctor, no new Doctor Who. So, yeah. I loved Capaldi's Doctor. I say that like he's already gone. I have been loving Capaldi's Doctor. I'm looking very forward to seeing, what happens in Series 10, especially with the new companion. And, Moffat, love him, hate him, could care one way or the other. For the most part, I love him. There's yet to been Doctor Who, since he's been showrunner, that I really, truly disliked. There's been some where it's like, I probably won't watch that episode again unless I'm really bored. But for the most part, I've been happy with Moffat's run. So.
Right. Well, you got to look back too. Moffat created a couple of characters during Russell T Davies' run that are still around to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I mean, Russell. That's the thing too. Is you got to remember, is Russell T Davies was showrunner first when it came back. So he set the precedent as far as the feel of the show, the pace, the mythos. The idea of the Time War was not even a thing when Doctor Who went off the air in the 80s. So no one could imagine that when it came back that, instead of the Doctor and Romana and K9 and, all these other, things that tie him to being a Time Lord, that, no, he's the last one. No. Obviously that's not the case now. Stephen Moffat found a way to fix that, which actually we will be talking about here in a second. So, for one reason or another. So, can you tell I'm stalling?
Yes.
I've done. We have shows like this, and it's like I'm just gonna ramble on, so I don't have to talk about the bad thing that I don't want to talk about. None of you guys are stopping me. It's like, no, we're not going to stop you. We don't want to talk about it either.
Let's just put it this way. When this news kind of broke, it was kind of hit and miss to know for sure.
Yeah,
it was. The news is actually true, because when it was actually reported, it was all the Brit tabloid mags that were first.
Yeah.
Telling this, and it didn't get confirmed by his agent until like the day later.
Yeah. Well, when the BBC starts
then
announcing it, then you're pretty sure. And it was the same way when Alan Rickman passed. I remember seeing it, like, flipping through social media before I was getting ready to leave to work, and I was like, oh Lord, it's one, somebody did one of those stupid, celebrity death hoaxes, and a couple of places that picked it up, and therefore people are taking it as fact without, like, any decent, well-respected news sources have said anything, and therefore it's like, But then, on the drive-in, like, the BBC on the radio, BBC Hour on my radio, Alan Rickman, like, oh, crap, well, the BBC's saying it, then it must be true. So... yeah, I was at the funeral of all things when this news broke. Actually, I was at the post-funeral dinner, but still, I had been at a funeral while this was happening, apparently. So I came in on the news late in the game on Friday. Obviously, unless you've been living under a rock since Friday afternoon, early evening-ish, we lost the War Doctor, John Hurt. So, obviously, we talked about it on the show when he made public his diagnosis of pancreatic cancer back in 2015. And at the time, he was very positive about it. And actually, it was like June or July of that year, and by October, he made another announcement saying he was in remission. So we were like, great, fabulous, yay, John Hurt, put up the good fight and came out on the other side a winner, but apparently not the case. I mean, nothing from I read I flat out said that it was the cancer that killed him, but if I had to guess, pancreatic cancer is one of those that you don't really win against. Yes. It's the same cancer that took Alan Rickman, so.
And Patrick Swayze, too, if memory serves.
So it is, of the cancers, it is one of the nastiest, and is very, very hard to beat. So, we could speculate, and I hate to speculate and play armchair doctor, armchair physician, but if I had to hazard a guess, I would guess that probably the cancer came back and very aggressive, and that's what took him. But I could be wrong. It could have been something else. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what took him. It's just the fact that he's gone. And it's this, 2016 was a really crappy year as far as celebrity deaths. The sheer number of them was kind of mind-boggling in itself, and obviously every single one affected someone. Whether it was just that person's family and friends, the people that actually knew them, to their fans. There are a lot of celebrity deaths where I'm like, oh, you're kind of sad. Like, I love that one thing I saw them in, but at the end of the day, it's like, you feel sorry for their family and the people that actually knew them. And then there are the ones that are like David Bowie and Carrie Fisher and Alan Rickman, that were people that you were in my case, and I would think you guys as well, and a lot of our listeners, that I don't want to play comparisons, because, there may have been someone that was probably a way bigger fan of Alan Thicke than they were Carrie Fisher. So I don't want to, make it seem like their impact of loss was lesser than mine, but just from my own personal, the things I'm a fan of, the things that I've enjoyed, these people's bodies of work. Of all the deaths last year, Alan Rickman to me was the hardest, me personally, and right now I feel pretty much the same amount of sadness for John Hurt as I do Alan Rickman, and both had long careers, an enormous body of work, very varied. You look at John Hurt and the things that he starred in, for everything from Alien to Elephant Man, V for Vendetta, 1984.
King Ralph.
Yeah.
Which is a comedy with John Goodman, but worth the watch because Camille Kaduri plays John Goodman's love interest. Mm-hmm. Rose Tyler's mom.
Yeah.
And even the voice acting that he did. Mm-hmm. He was Aragorn in the animated Lord of the Rings. He played the Horned King in Disney's Black Cauldron, which kind of surprised me until I did the IMDb search. I'm like, oh, that's him. Okay.
That's actually one I have not seen, actually. I think I have a copy of it. I've just never watched it.
I think that was Disney's first PG-13 animated cartoon.
Really?
Yeah, so it was probably a little scary at the...
Yeah. No, I'm familiar with the movie. It's just one of those that I just haven't gotten around to seeing. So
it's good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. But just a list as long as your arm as far as stuff he's done. But obviously for us here in the podcast, the two biggest fandoms that he has, left his mark in is Harry Potter, which he was only in 3 of the movies.
Right.
Especially the first movie. I mean, he gives Harry, he played Ollivander. He sold Harry's wand, and we didn't see him again until the Deathly Hallows. So, obviously he's the importance is being, Ollivander and the wand lore and all that plays into the events of the Deathly Hallows, quite a bit, and has a lot of influence on how the story plays out. So, and Brittany is having technical issues.
Yay, Skype.
Yay, Skype. Oh. But she's back now. So,
I am.
Yeah. Oh. And it just so happened that John Hurt passed on Friday, the same day as the first day of the Harry Potter celebration down in Universal in Florida. So there were impromptu memorials in front of the Ollivanders, the wand shop, at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And I said something to to Chauncey over the weekend. I said, the Harry Potter celebration, it's kind of a big deal. It's like Star Wars Celebration or D23 Expo, for the Disney fans. It's a chance for the fans to get together, in this case of the theme park, and share their love for Harry Potter. They get to dress up and carry their wands and dress up as their favorite characters, and they bring in some of the cast and they teach them how to do spells, and there's props and stuff to take photos with and all sorts of fun stuff. But the last 2 years, they've had to incorporate some sort of memorial for someone of the cast who passed away. So last year it was for Alan Rickman, and this year it was for John Hurt. So, which
I painted my fingernails black because of time.
Oh.
My fingernails are black, and my toenails are blue and bronze for Ravenclaw colors.
Mm-hmm.
So, I already had the blue and bronze on my toenails, but then after finding out about John Hurt, I painted my fingernails black.
Yeah. I kind of wish I had my my wand with me over the weekend. So, yeah, but it's the Harry Potter fans come together and make speeches and say nice things about these actors, in honor of them. If you're going to memorialize them for their impact in the fandom, that's certainly a way to do it. So it's a good way to do it. So, and obviously J.K. Rowling has made comments on social media as well. But yeah, it's the Harry Potter, and then obviously Doctor Who is his other significant role that I will always remember. And the guys, were very thoughtful and quick to change Friday Night Who from watching the Zygon 2-parter from last series to watch Day of the Doctor. And I was first time I had been able to join in Friday Night Who for I don't know how long, very long time. And glad that I was able to jump in. I had my my copy with me. I have a digital copy, as I had my hard drive with me that it was on. So so I was able to jump in and watch, which I love. Day of the Doctor. Love. It's my absolute favorite Doctor Who story ever. I can watch it over and over and over and over. I mean, the fact that it's the 50th anniversary special, it just makes it even more fun. But it's just a fantastic story.
Just the interplay between John Hurt's War Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
David Tennant, and Matt Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Just awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean there's I think there's, I would hope there isn't, but I'm sure even now there's probably still some people that are annoyed that Christopher Eccleston decided not to come back for the 50th. Part of me was like, oh yeah, well, that kind of sucks that he won't be in it, but he's got to do what's right for him. So when they did the name of the Doctor essentially and had that big reveal at the end, it was John Hurt as the War Doctor, and we're all like, what? And then to have him be part of the 50th, it's just, it's a brilliant piece of writing on Moffat's behalf, to be able to change the Doctor's history essentially from what we knew, and make it work. But the casting John Hurt as the War Doctor was absolutely, no one else could have done that role. Absolutely not. He's got that, the gray hair and the goatee and that gravelly voice. It's very commanding, and it just kind of, it just kind of commands you to pay attention to what he's saying. But at the same time, the man is funny.
Yes.
He held his own, with the comedy that was written in there, the exchanges between him and the other two doctors. It's very kind of grumpy uncle. Like, timey-wimey, what are you, 12,
Oh, yes. And why are you pointing those sonic screwdrivers like that? Those are scientific instruments.
Yeah. You're going to assemble a cabinet at them? But at the same time, to play that particular incarnation of the Doctor, I did the same thing Keith did and made sure to watch Night of the Doctor right before. It's like I got just enough time to watch this, and we got that fantastic return of Paul McGann's Doctor, but at that point he was still resisting being part of the Time War. He tells Cass that it's like, I'm not part of the Time War. I never have been. I promise. And he ends up regenerating into John Hurt's Doctor, and then he becomes part of the Time War. And when he regenerates, all we see is that reflection, which was a handy bit of CG work to get young John Hurt. But by estimation, like that particular, the War Doctor, it's like 300 years or something like that. He's part of the Time War. And by the time we get to Day of the Doctor, you can tell he's been fighting this war for a very, very long time, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. And he's angry and he's sad, and John Hurt made sure that all of those emotions got to be seen. He could have easily just been angry and bitter. And probably justifiably so. Because, the Time Lords in their arrogance have allowed this to happen. But he brings such it's almost beautiful in how melancholy it is. And I think that's why it's so amazing. The story is so amazing. Matt Smith and David Tennant, obviously, as their respective doctors, well cast. But just, what this particular incarnation of the Doctor has to go through in his lifetime is just horrific. And we don't even really see how horrible it is. I mean, Day of the Doctor, we get glimpses of it. We see death and destruction and the Daleks being Daleks. But we also see, the children on Gallifrey playing and being with their families and being with their friends. And the Doctor is aware that, by using the moment, he's ending the Time War, but he is killing all of those people, including all of those children.
I mean, just the scene in the tower where they're kind of talking about it, and 10's trading looks with 11, and I think the War Doctor makes some comment like, have you forgotten? No, they haven't, but I think they were all trying to spare each other the pain because they know how bad it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a wound that's going to take quite a long time to heal if it ever will.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And we get a little glimpse of that in the book, The Engines of War.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fairly early on. Well, maybe not. That's actually, I think it's pretty close to right before the Day of the Doctor, actually, because it ends with no more. So
right.
It's quite a bit of ways into the war. But with this particular Doctor, he is doing his thing with the Time War and encounters someone who becomes a temporary companion and ends up losing them in the process. This particular incarnation of the Doctor has lost a lot. I haven't listened to the Big Finish audios yet. They have now moved to the top of my I need to listen to these as soon as possible list. But from what I've heard, they're really, really good. So, have any of you guys listened to them yet?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Been wanting to, but
Yeah, me too. It's just one of those. It's like, oh, I'll get around to it eventually, and then and you get on Big Finish and buy those ASAP, pronto, LOL. So, yeah. I mean, I hate to wax poetic about this one particular role, but I mean, for me, I think of John Hurt. I mean, he is the War Doctor. Yeah, that's who he is, first and foremost in my mind. That's the biggest impact he had on me. That and being Ollivander and Harry Potter and being that I said in I sent feedback to the guy traveling the vortex, but I said he's to me he's the space traveler who has an alien burst out of his chest (parentheses twice). And if you don't understand what I mean by twice, shame on you, and go ask Mel Brooks what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yes.
We can't be friends unless you understand that.
That's what I was hoping where you were going.
yeah, I checked on Netflix the other night, and there's I think a good 6 to 8 things that have his names tied to it. I think a couple of them are like documentary type things where I think he just does the narration. But I know V for Vendetta is still up on Netflix. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is still up on Netflix. Among other things. So if you want to watch some of what he's done, and obviously, if you got your copy of Day of the Doctor, he's there. If you've got your copies of Harry Potter, he's there.
And if you're an Indiana Jones fan, he was in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Probably the best thing about that entire movie.
Fox, yep.
Excuse me.
I was surprised that I either didn't realize or remembered that he voiced Aragorn in the cartoon version of Lord of the Rings. I was like, wait a second, what?
It's funny because it's because I haven't watched enough of his stuff, but the article that I had shared on our Facebook page, apparently on YouTube there's a video titled "The Many Deaths of John Hurt." Apparently he gives Sean Bean a run for his money. It compiles his many cinematic deaths in since 1962 to 2011. There's 40 of them. So apparently Sean Bean's got some competition.
And a little catching up to do.
So, yeah. Go look at his Wikipedia or his IMDb, and just pick something and watch it. And odds are you will not be disappointed. So, yeah. It's sad. This one hurts. This one hurts. I mean, it hurts anyway. To lose someone who's part of your fandoms. It's definitely it's a big loss for the Doctor Who fandom. Especially considering if he had kept on, if he was still with us, odds are he would probably kept on doing Big Finish. So we would have got more War Doctor. We can only hope that maybe there was audio that was done before his passing that is in the can that just hasn't been edited and released yet. Otherwise, what's out there is what's out there. So, but yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think if I keep talking, I'm gonna start crying again. Honestly. I will. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
It's still hard to process.
Yeah. This one will probably take some time to let it sink in. So I know watching Day of the Doctor for Friday Night Who was sad yet therapeutic at the same time. So, the nice thing is we have it. We have it. We can watch it and enjoy it, and it's a brilliant, beautiful performance that just gives us so many more layers to the Doctor and the Doctor's backstory, and like they say in the special, he was the Doctor on the day when you could not get it right. So, obviously they did get it right, and found a way around it, which was good in redeeming that particular incarnation. It's unfortunate that he didn't remember it, that he forgot. He went on to regenerate into Eccleston's incarnation and completely forgot the fact that he actually did save Gallifrey. But we know, we can look back at the War Doctor and know that, he went through hell and saw some terrible things, but at the end of the day, obviously he had some help. It ended up being all the doctors that helped save Gallifrey. No, sir, all 13.
Cat eyebrows.
Yeah, but if that incarnation of the Doctor had not let the moments interface open up that opening into his future and let him see his future, if he had just ignored her and went through with it, then we would have a completely different Doctor. But because he allowed her to show him those things, it changed the course of history, essentially. So, and that allowed that Doctor to end the Time War peacefully, I guess.
With a red reset button.
Yes. Big red button.
Yep.
Yep. Well, that was sad. Oh, dear listeners. So, I guess if you want to join in our conversation here, and maybe if you've got anything you want to say about the War Doctor or Ollivander, or that poor guy has an alien jump out of his chest either time, or anything else John Hurt did during his long career, you can always send us a note through our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. From there, you can send us an email or comment on blog post, or connect to our Facebook. The link to that is on there as well. Or send us a tweet or comment on Instagram. Take your pick. We're everywhere. Feel free to drop us a line on that or anything else. Join in the conversation for next week. We'll be talking to the librarians finally. We made the decision to push our review of the most recent season of the Librarians to next week. We figured they wouldn't care.
I think they would have made the War Doctor an honorary librarian, or heck, the Doctor in general.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure Jenkins would be like, do what you need to do. So we will be talking the Librarians next episode. So, which the next episode will likely be delayed as well, because next Sunday is the Super Bowl, and as much as we don't care about any of the teams that are playing, it is a rather social thing for at least us Americans. So as we want to do, if we don't care about the football, we watch for the commercials and sometimes the halftime show. In this case, I'm mostly there for the halftime show. Lady Gaga, yay! So expect next week's show to be slightly delayed as we binge on wings and other fattening stuff that we don't need to eat. But hey, if you can't gorge on wings on Super Bowl Sunday, when can you?
Exactly.
So that's where we're at least for the next week. And beyond that, we just make it up as we go along. So we're waiting for movies to start coming out is what we're doing.
Yep.
And be sure that the announced return date earlier in the news section.
Yes. So stay tuned for the book club as the poll closes up. And
quick announcement on that. Executive decision on the next 2 months, next month, February and March, we're going to finish the Lethbridge Stewart, the most current run, so Blood of Atlantis, and then Mind of Stone.
okie dokie.
So, yep. And then we'll be back to our normal voting schedule, and the poll will come up in March for April, unless anything else comes up.
Yes. All dependent on candy jar books.
Exactly.
Which the nice thing about us pushing the librarians back to another week is I have time to finish the book.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm going to read this before we talk about the librarians. And then I didn't finish it, but then I gained another week, so yay! So we will probably discuss that. We'll probably throw that into the discussion as well. So, and then obviously a new photo challenge, but stay tuned to our Facebook for the announcement for that as well.
Yep.
Alrighty then. Well, with that, I guess we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Beverly saying goodnight.
This is Paula from Wisconsin saying good evening.
This is Mitch saying goodnight from Kitchener, Ontario.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Oh, for gosh sakes, Gallifrey stands!
You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by their respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.